You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up the better. Put on the road, I just spit. I know we got $1 million. The devil, that shit ain't not cheaper than again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of, What If Naruto Enters Xiaolin Showdown? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of KFB Anime 87 on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Later in Harlem. Dojo flew over Harlem with Naruto and Kimiko on his back, and soon spotted Clay and Raimundo near what looked like a basketball court, where... "Oh geez, we are too late," Naruto said, as he spotted Omi and Jack, with both grabbing the serpent's tail. "Ah! Jack Spicer, why are you always in my business?" Omi asked, as he glared at Jack. "Is Omi talking street?" Kimiko asked with a chuckle, as Dojo landed and let her and Naruto off. "Looks like his new friend got him some new clothes too," Raimundo said with his own chuckle. "What new friend?" Naruto asked with a cocked eyebrow. Clay pointed off to the side, where Naruto and Kimiko saw a black teenage boy, who had an afro for hair. "Okay Omi, I challenge you to a Xiaolin Showdown," Jack said with a grin. "What's the game, foolish?" Omi asked, getting a laugh from his new friend. "That's fool Omi," the black teen said with a chuckle. "That too, Jermaine," Omi said with a grin. "The game is a game of basketball. The first to reach 30 points wins," Jack said. I don't know how this basket of ball works," Omi said with a frown. "I do. Put me in," Omi Jermaine said, ready to help. "No tag-ins." "I challenged Omi, not you," Jack said with a glare. "Then I challenge you to a Shinibu dare. We wager the mantis flip coin, and the falcon's eye versus your jetbutsu and the shroud of shadows," Omi said. Fine. "But I will be using my giant jackbot," Jack said with a grin, as a giant robot that was lying nearby got up, and stood behind him ready to help. "Very well. Xiaolin Showdown!" Omi yelled, as the world shook and soon the basketball court changed to be much bigger and the non-painted parts of the court fell away, becoming holes. What's going on?" Jermaine asked, as he saw his clothes were now a red gi, like Omi's. "It's a Xiaolin Showdown," Omi said, as he glared at Jack. "That doesn't explain it, Omi," Jermaine said, with a shake of his head. "Too bad, newbie." "Gongyi Tanpai," Jack yelled, along with Omi, which caused the serpent's tail to turn into a basketball and the game began. "So, this dare thing makes it so the bet is doubled?" Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. "Yeah. It's a big risk, but it's worth it if we get more woo back from Jack," Clay said, as they watched the game. "I get why Omi made the dare. It's so his friend could help him with this game, since he doesn't know it," Raimundo said, as he nodded. "Just wish he had more besides the falcon's eye. I mean, the mantis flip coin is good for this, but the falcon's eye is useless for this," Kimiko said, as she frowned, worried about this being unfair. "Jetbutsu!" Jack called out, as he flew up in the air, nailing the first basket in 2 points. "Heilin, 2, Xiaolin, 0. 2 points. Nothing to strut about, boy," Jermaine said, dribbling across the court, before passing it to Omi, only for the ball to float up. The dragon of water looked up to see the Jack mech holding the ball. It dribbled it around for a bot, before extending its arm, nailing another basket. "Heilin, 2 to 4, Xiaolin, 0. Oh yeah!" Jack shouted out, before giving a smug smirk. "Can I strut now?" Jermaine caught the ball. "Oh, you got the game to back up your mouth," Jermaine said, running towards the court. No, I got the Shroud of Shadows. Jack said, wrapping the shroud around himself, vanishing and tripping up Jermaine, letting him toss the ball into his basket. Heilin, 4-6, Xiaolin, 0. Omi, we gotta step our game up, Jermaine said, as he stood up. You're right. Mantis flip coin. Omi shouted, as he used his Shingong Wu, giving a midair flip over both Jack and his machine, scoring the first basket for their team, as his fellow monks and dojo cheered. Heilin, 4-6, Xiaolin, 0-2. Now that's what I'm talking about. Jermaine said, as Omi handed him the coin. Here, you try it, Omi offered, as he tossed his teammates his Wu. Ah yeah. It's a game now, he said with a smirk, as he caught the coin. Jermaine was up against Jack, dribbling the ball back and forth. As Jack kept up his guard. Watch me close, watch me close. Jermaine said, moving past Jack much to his annoyance, scoring another basket. Jermaine and Omi moved around the court, passing the ball back and forth to each other. The young monk jumped around the robot, scoring another basket. Defense. Defense. Wuya shouted, trying in her own way to encourage Jack and his robot. Worst cheerleader ever, Naruto said with a smirk, making his fellow dragons in training laugh. Grr. The mouth on this 1-inch Wuya growled out in frustration at Naruto's dig. The two teams were neck and neck, as the score was soon tied up. Heilin, 28, Xiaolin, 28. Jermaine, we are doing well. Perhaps I have finally obtained game, Omi said with a wide grin. It's got game, Omi. And yeah, you, oof. Jermaine was cut off, as the Jack mech's foot came down, pinning him. Got no chance. Jack laughed, taking the ball. Omi. Jermaine shouted, tossing up the mantis flip coin to Omi, who caught it just in time. Omi back flipped over Jack, snatching the ball from his hands, and scoring the winning basket. No. Wuya wailed in anger, at the loss Jack had suffered. Heilin, 28, Xiaolin, 30. Omi and Jermaine high-fived, as the court glowed and turned back to normal, with Omi holding all the Wu they'd won. Nice job, Omi, Raimundo said, as he and the others approached to congratulate the monk and his new friend. Meanwhile, Jack was being confronted by Wuya, who was not happy about his loss. Not one word, Jack said with an annoyed tone, while he got up and left with his robot, as he knew he was in for it, since he had lost 3 Wu. Wuya growled at this, as she was really upset at losing the serpent's tail. Okay kids, time to head home, Dojo said, as he grew to his large form. Jermaine, you were most talented. You should come with us to the temple, Omi said with a smile, while the others got on Dojo. Thanks for the offer, Omi, but New York is my home. But you know I'll always have your back, homie, Jermaine said, as he and Omi fist bumped. Omi nodded at this, before he got on Dojo, who hovered up so he could fly off. Hey Omi, here's a souvenir. Jermaine said, as he threw his basketball to Omi, who caught it and started to spin it on his finger. Peace on. Omi yelled with a smile, as he waved at Jermaine. That's peace out, Raimundo said, as he shook his head with a smile. That too. Omi yelled, as Dojo flew off, away from the city. Well, not a bad day. We got some Wu, I had some ramen and I saw the city wasn't that bad, Naruto said, as he smiled. Glad that you eventually came around, partner, Clay said with a smile. Naruto nodded at this, as he nodded. Though I'm starting to think these Wu are kinda weird, with the powers and looks, he said. I know, right? Kimiko said with a grin and a nod, as she agreed with him. Makes me wonder which one is next, Raimundo said with a grin and a nod, as he also agreed. Naruto's village. Inside Tsunade's office, the mayor of the small village was looking over her empty sake bottles. Hey Shizun, I'm out of sake. Tsunade yelled, as she slammed her empty bottle on her desk, annoyed that she was out of sake. A young woman came inside the office. She had small black hair, and was wearing a kimono with a white belt, while carrying a small pig that had a beaded necklace. This was Shizun and Taunton. "Miss Tsunade, you know I don't approve of, Miss Tsunade, why is your necklace glowing?" Shizun asked, as she paused mid-sentence, before she asked her mentor. Tsunade looked down, and noticed her necklace, which consisted of a green jewel that had been in her family for over 1,500 years, was indeed glowing. "Oink?" Taunton asked, with a tilt of her head. "Huh, that's new," Tsunade said, as she looked at her necklace with a raised eyebrow. Xiaolin Temple. It was morning, and the Xiaolin dragons in training were all doing their morning training, after they had eaten breakfast. "Hey, where is Naruto?" Kimiko asked curiously, as she was doing her basic stances. "Yeah, where is he?" "If we're doing training, then so should he," Raimundo said with a nod, as he was balancing on a pole. "I think he said something about talking to a friend before he started training," Clay said with a shrug. "Naruto has other friends?" Omi asked curiously, as he tilted his head at this. "Yes, I do," Naruto said, as he approached them. "Well, can we meet them?" Raimundo asked curiously, as they all turned to look at Naruto. Sapphire isn't exactly a people person." "At least, not yet," Naruto said with a nervous chuckle. "Ah, it must be an animal that lives nearby," Omi said with a nod, as he knew Naruto could talk to animals. "You have no idea, little buddy," Naruto said with a chuckle. "Okay kids, we have a new Wu alert." Dojo yelled, as he slithered over, while carrying the scroll of Shingon Wu. "What is it?" Raimundo asked, as Dojo opened the scroll. The scroll of Shingon Wu showed an image of a green necklace. The necklace of Senju. It allows the user to absorb kinetic energy from attacks, and release it as a blast of energy, Dojo said, as the image in the scroll showed a man wearing the necklace and taking physical attacks from attackers, before it unleashed a shock wave of all the absorbed energy, sending all the attackers flying. "Wait, Senju?" Naruto asked curiously, as his eyes widened in surprise. "Do you know of this Wu?" Omi asked Naruto with a raised eyebrow. "No, but I know of the Senju. It's a family that lived in my home village," Naruto said with a smile. "That's great. We should be able to ask a Senju that lives there, if they have the necklace," Clay said as he smiled. "Yeah. Ba-chan should know, since she's from that family," Naruto said with a nod. This caused Raimundo and Omi to freeze, and pale slightly at this. "You mean that monstrous woman with demonic strength?" Omi said with a shiver. "Yup, that's my Bakon," Naruto said with a smile. "Okay kids, let's go," Dojo said, as he grew to his full size. "There is no way in hell I'm going. That woman almost killed me last time," Raimundo said, as he shook his head while folding his arms across his chest in AX. "Oh, don't be such a baby Rai," Kimiko said as she rolled her eyes at this, as she, Clay and Naruto got onto Dojo. "Yeah, you're the one who made that comment about her chest," Clay said, as he shook his head at Raimundo. "Indeed. She is most strong, despite her age and being a woman," Omi said with a nod, as he got onto Dojo's back. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this. "What's being a woman have to do with it?" he asked Omi. Kimiko groaned at this and shook her head. "Omi, I told you that book was outdated and would get you hurt," she said. "What book?" Naruto asked curiously. Omi reached into his pocket, and pulled out a book that said The Ancient Guide to Women on the cover. Naruto took the book and opened it, and read it for a few moments before he rolled his eyes. "Omi, this is way out of date. And if you take this seriously, then you're gonna end up getting hurt," he said, as he threw the book before blasting it with the Eye of Dashi. "Okay fine, I'll go. But only if Omi tells your Bakon what he learned from his book," Raimundo said with a grin, as he climbed onto Dojo. "Very well." Omi said with a nod, as Dojo took off. Later at Naruto's village. Okay kids, get off. I'm already twitching from this woo, Dojo said, as he let everyone off and shrunk down, before he started to scratch at his scales. Okay, let's go see Bakun. And Omi, please don't listen to Raimundo if you want to leave without taking a beating, Naruto said. Spoilsport, Raimundo said with a grin, as they went into the village. As they walked into the village, the villagers spotted them, as they smiled and waved at Naruto. You are most popular in your village, Naruto, Omi said, as he looked around curiously. Well, yeah. After my dad died, everyone looked after me and made sure I was taken care of, Naruto said, as he waved at a villager. Ah, like me with Master Fong and the other monks, Omi said with a nod of understanding. As the group approached the middle of the village, the way was blocked by 3 small figures. One was a little boy who had a long blue scarf around his neck, and goggles. The second was a little girl with orange hair in 2 pigtails. The final was another little boy, who was wearing glasses and had a constant nose drip. Halt villains, the little boy with a scarf and goggles yelled, as he pointed at the group. Villains? Where? Omi asked, as he looked around. Omi, they are smaller than you. We can just walk past them, Raimundo said, as he rolled his eyes at this. Just try it, villain, the little girl yelled, before she threw a pebble at him. Hey! Raimundo yelled, as he batted the pebble away. Konohamaru, what are you guys doing? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow at the 3 kids. Hiya big bro. Don't worry, we will make these villains let you go. Konohamaru said with a smile, before he glared at the others. Friends of yours, partner? Clay asked Naruto curiously. Well, more like I used to play ninja with them when I lived here, since there aren't a lot of other kids here. Maybe 12 at most, Naruto said with a chuckle. Ah, that's so cute, Kimiko said, as she smiled at the fact Naruto would play with the kids. You all took big bro away, the boy with a runny nose yelled, holding a stick like a sword. Yeah. I bet that floozy with the pigtails lured him away, the little girl yelled, as she pointed at Kimiko. Kimiko's eyebrow twitched violently at this, while Raimundo and Clay chuckled. What is a floozy? Omi asked curiously, as he tilted his head. It's Kimiko apparently, Raimundo said with a laugh, before Kimiko growled at him with fire in her eyes, silencing him. Udon, Moegi and Konohamaru, that's enough. I left because I am a Xiaolin dragon in training now, Naruto said firmly, as he approached the 3 kids. What's that? Konohamaru asked curiously, as he and his friends looked confused at this. I will explain later, after we see Bachan, Naruto said simply. Sorry big bro, but this nice cat lady asked us to keep them away from the mayor's office, as long as we can, Konohamaru said, as he pointed at Omi, Kimiko, Raimundo and Clay. Cat lady? Omi asked, as he thought about this. Catnap, Kimiko said, as she rolled her eyes at this. Manipulating kids. Now talk about Lo, Clay said with a frown. How did she know about the woo though? Raimundo asked. Probably from Wuya, cause Jack has been messing up more lately, Kimiko said with a sigh. Oh. And what did she say about me? Am I allowed through? Naruto asked, not paying attention to what the others were saying. Nothing big bro. She only said them, Moegi said. She said she was looking to protect Miss Tsunade's necklace, Konohamaru said. Naruto and the others groaned at this, as it was obvious what was going on. Konohamaru, they are my friends and this cat lady obviously tricked you all. So let them through, Naruto said firmly. But they took you away from the village, the 3 kids said together, as they pouted at this. Naruto sighed at this, before he approached the kids and got down on one knee, so he could look them in the eye. Look guys, I left because there are items that need to be gathered from bad people. And they asked me to help, since I have the ability to use nature to fight back against them, he said to the kids. Indeed. We are Xiaolin dragons in training, and Naruto is one of us, Omi said with a nod at the kids. Konohamaru and his friends thought about this, before they nodded at each other. Okay big bro, you and your friends go stop that cat lady, Konohamaru said, as he and the others moved so they could pass. Naruto smiled at this. Don't worry, I'll say goodbye before I leave this time, he said, as he patted Konohamaru, Udon and Moegi on the head. He then looked at the others and nodded, before he led them towards the mayor's office. As Naruto approached the office door, they heard some shouting inside the office, before the door exploded and a figure crashed into Naruto, sending him to the floor. That's what you get for trying to steal from me, when I'm recovering from a hangover, you Catwoman wannabe. Tsunade bellowed, as she came out of the office building, cracking her knuckles as she did. Ugh, what hit me? Naruto groaned, as he felt something on his chest. He then looked up after shaking his head and he saw a girl standing above him. She was wearing a black cat suit, emphasizes on cat. 3 black whiskers were painted on her face, with a hood having 2 cat ears that were gray in the inside of both of them with a swirl. A yellow utility belt with a big K in the middle was on her waist, while metal wristbands were on her wrists. Gold-colored nails resembling cat claws were on both gloves, and she was at the same height as Jack Spicer. Red lipstick was on her lips, while fangs on the top side of her teeth were shown poking out. She wore a neck protector underneath her neck, and finally a cat tail and heeled boots. Well, Jack didn't say the new Xiaolin loser was such a cutie, the teen girl said with a grin, that made Naruto pale slightly, as he felt like someone's prey when she looked at him like that. What are you doing here, Catnap? Raimundo asked, as he and the others stood at the ready to fight. And stop using your feminine wiles on our friend, Omi said with a frown. In order, I'm here to steal the sage's necklace, since we are offered a lot for that. She already paid me with Jack's tangled web comb, Catnap said with a grin. You think you can take me on, you little dash, Tsunade was yelling, before she was cut off. Tangled web comb. Catnap yelled, as she aimed her wu at Tsunade, and fired what looked like living hair, which captured her and binds her arms to her sides. Hey! I ain't into that knkysht. Well, not these days, Tsunade yelled, as she tried to get loose. And now I have that in my head. Thanks Ba-chan, Naruto said with a groan, as his face turned slightly green. Yeah, TMI granny, Raimundo said with a nod of agreement. I don't get it, Omi said with a clueless look on his face. You're better off, little guy, Clay said, patting him on the head. Enough of this. Stop the bleached blonde. Kimiko yelled, as they all charged at Catnap. The hell you call me? Take this, you plain beach. Catnap yelled, as she threw what looked like some kittens at them. Really? That's all you, oh god, help me. Naruto yelled, as one of the kittens attacked his face, causing him to fall to the floor. I shall assist you, Naruto. Omi yelled, as he charged to try and help. But was attacked by his own kitten. Get off me. I don't have time to play with you. This isn't playing. These mutated furball are part demon, I swear. Raimundo yelled, as he tried to fight back against his own kitten. Hey, watch the hat. Clay yelled, as he was attacked by a kitten. Oi. Leave me alone, you little furball. Dojo yelled, as a kitten was chasing him. Kimiko pulled out the Shroud of Shadows, and used it to disappear before a kitten could attack her. Heh, too easy, Catnap said, as she grabbed Tsunade's necklace and took it from her. But as she lifted it up, the necklace was also grabbed by an invisible force. Not so fast, kitty litter, Kimiko said, as she removed the Shroud of Shadows from her body, showing she had grabbed the necklace too, causing it to glow. Kimiko, I challenge you to a Xiaolin Showdown. I wager my tangled web comb against your Shroud of Shadows, Catnap said. Fine with me. What's the challenge? Kimiko asked with a glare. Catnap smirked at this, as she looked at Naruto. The game is catch. The first to catch Whiskers wins, she said. Say what? Naruto asked in surprise, as he finally got the mutated kitten off him. Dojo, is this allowed? Raimundo asked curiously. Dojo pulled out a large book that said Xiaolin Showdown rules on the cover from his scales, and put on some reading glasses, before he opened the book. He began muttering to himself as he flicked through the pages, while reading a few of them. Nope. No outside people can be allowed in a showdown, Dojo said, as he shook his head at this, while closing the book. Oh phooey, Catnap said with a pout. Ha! Nice try, you desperate floozy. Kimiko said with a laugh. Fine. I challenge you to a, Catnap said, as she looked around and soon spotted Madatabi nearby, who was watching. Oh, such a pretty kitty. Okay, first to catch that kitty wins, the feline villainess said with a grin at the chance to catch a new pet, while also getting some new woo. Naruto snorted at this, as he smirked behind his hand, which was covering his mouth. What's up, partner? Clay asked, as he didn't see the joke. Just watch the showdown, and you'll see, Naruto said with a grin. Kimiko looked at Madatabi, who slightly smirked and winked at her. Kimiko smiled at this and nodded at Catnap. You're on. Xiaolin Showdown, she said. Before the sage's necklace could react though. Meow. Madatabi yelled, as she jumped onto Kimiko's head. This got silence from everyone, but Naruto and Tsunade who smirked at this, as they saw this coming. Suddenly, the tangled web comb and the sage's necklace disappeared, and appeared in Kimiko's hands. What? Catnap yelled in shock, at the showdown ending so quickly. Nice job Madatabi, Kimiko said with a grin at the blue feline, who smiled as she liked Kimiko. Why you tricked me? Catnap yelled as she pointed at Kimiko, enraged at this embarrassment. Hey, you picked the showdown. Not Kimiko's fault, you're sloppy, Naruto said with a shrug, while Raimundo and Dojo laughed. This one is going in the record book, Dojo said as he laughed. A showdown ending before it even began. What would Master Fong say when he finds out? Omi asked curiously. Hey, it gets us new woo with little trouble. Thanks little guy, Clay said to Madatabi, as Kimiko approached with the feline still on her head. Clay, it's a girl, Kimiko said, as Madatabi hissed at him. Oh. Sorry little missy, Clay said, as he dipped his hat at her slightly. Wow. She must actually like you. Normally Madatabi only likes me, Naruto said, as he smiled at Kimiko. Kimiko smiled back at this, while slightly blushing. I'm not gonna take this lying down. Catnap yelled, as he flexed her claws. Then take it with a broken neck. Tsunade yelled, as she finally got loose from the tangled web comb's hair, and approached Catnap. As the beatdown commenced the monks watched, with Raimundo's and Omi's eyes widening at this. Wow. Is it always like this? Omi asked, as seeing Tsunade beat someone up that wasn't him was a totally different experience. Yeah. I don't think she was this rough with us, Raimundo said with a flinch, as Tsunade kicked Catnap, sending her flying towards the village exit. And stay away from my grandson, you tramp. Tsunade bellowed, as she waved her fist at her. Not bad Bachan. I give it a 9.5-inch Naruto said with a smile, as he gave her a thumbs up. DMN. I was going for a 10-inch Tsunade said with a scowl, as she approached them. Oh, here. It's technically yours Miss Tsunade, Kimiko said, as she held out the sage's necklace to her. Tsunade looked at the necklace, before she looked at Kimiko and saw she was serious. She then smiled and shook her head. It's fine, kid. You earned it by beating that little tramp, and making her look like a fool. Besides, if it's one of those woo, then it's better off with you kids. You just be sure to use it to keep my grandson safe, you hear, she said to Kimiko with a teasing smile, as she was kinda liking Kimiko now, after seeing how she had tricked Catnap and beat her at her own game. Kimiko blushed at this, before she shook her head to clear her mind. Sure, no problem," she stuttered out. "Don't worry, miss. We all have his back," Clay said with a smile. "Yeah. Naruto is cool, so we won't let anything happen to him," Raimundo said, as he nodded and gave a thumbs up. "Indeed. Us monks stick to each other," Omi said with a nod. That's stick together," Tsunade said, as she found this odd. "That too," Omi said with a smile. Tsunade laughed at this. "I like this little SQR, she said, as she grabbed Omi and gave him a noogie. "Ah! She is trying to drive her fist into my head." Omi yelled out, as he struggled to get loose. "It's a show of affection, Omi. You should feel honored," Naruto said as he smiled. "Ah! Very well, continue Miss Tsunade," Omi said, as he stopped struggling. Naruto chuckled at this. "Well, who's up for some ramen? I know a place in the village that makes the best," he said, as he looked at his friends. "Ramen? That's just noodles, right?" Raimundo asked curiously, as he raised an eyebrow. "Blasphemy! Kill the heretic!" Naruto yelled, as he pulled the Rui Jingu bang off his back, before Tsunade appeared behind him and bonked him on the head. "Oh, grow up, brat," she said, as she rolled her eyes at her grandson. "Youch! I was kidding." "Well, mostly," Naruto said, as he held his head. Everyone laughed at this, as they followed Naruto to see this ramen stand. With Catnap. Catnap groaned in pain, as she got up out of the ground. "DMN Xiaolin do-gooders, and their tricks," she groaned, as she scowled at how Kimiko tricked her and made her look like a fool in front of that handsome blonde. "I'll get even with you, girly, and make that whiskered handsome blonde mine," Catnap said, as she stood up. "I suppose this means you lost the tangled web comb, and the sage's necklace," Wuya's voice said, which caused Catnap to look up, and see that Wuya was here along with Jack. "Yes, I lost your Wu. But that's only because Kimiko tricked me into a showdown to catch some cat that she knew already." Catnap growled. "You lost instantly. Ahahaha. You're even more pathetic than me." Jack yelled, as he laughed madly, while rolling in the air. Catnap growled at this, before she unscathed her claws and pounced at Jack. As the two teens fought, Wuya looked at the village nearby and thought to herself. Maybe I should spy on this village a bit, and maybe find a weakness for this new dragon of nature, she thought, as she flew into the village. "Ah! Watch the face. That's how I make my living." Jack yelled in pain, as Catnap continued to attack him. With Naruto. The other monks in dojo were sitting at a ramen stand that had a sign that said, "Ichiraku Ramen." "This ramen is the most delicious," Omi said with a smile, as he ate his ramen. "Yeah, I gotta admit it's definitely more than noodles," Raimundo said with a nod of agreement as he ate. "I told you guys it was good. I used to eat here all the time," Naruto said with a grin as he ate. "We noticed," Dojo said with a chuckle, as Naruto finished his 5th bowl, before starting on his 6th. "So, I'm curious about something with this village," Clay said, as he ate his beef ramen. "Ask away," Naruto said, as he knew almost everything about the village. "With how peaceful it is, why did your mom leave?" Clay asked, as this had been bothering him since he and Kimiko found out his mom was missing. Naruto paused at this, and snapped his chopsticks as he slightly clenched his fist. "Wait, his mom is missing?" Raimundo asked curiously, as this was the first he and Omi had heard of this. "Oh, that is most unfortunate. We should try to find her for you," Omi said with a determined look on his face. Kimiko and Matatabi looked at Naruto, slightly worried as they saw his slight scowl before he took a breath. "Look guys, I don't really know why she left. All I really know is her name and what she looked like, thanks to a picture I have back at Dad's house, Naruto said simply, figuring he should tell the truth. What was her name? Kimiko asked, thinking she could do an internet search. Her name is Kushina Uzumaki, Naruto said simply, as he went back to his ramen. Unknown to the Xiaolin team, Wuya was hiding nearby, and when she heard this name, she paused in surprise, before she made a fanged grin and flew off, trying not to cackle in glee. A few days later. It was a regular day at the Xiaolin temple, and Kimiko was on her phone texting one of her friends I am in Tokyo, as she made her way to the main hall. So there is a new guy at that temple of yours? Is he cute? I am texted with a smiling emoji. Kimiko chuckled at this, as she knew she could tell her friend the truth, since they were practically sisters growing up. Very. Here, take a look, Kimiko texted, as she sent a picture of Naruto from the other day, when he was saying goodbye to Konohamaru, Udon and Moegi. Oh, me like a lot. Have you asked him out yet? I am asked her, as she texted a love heart emoji. No, Kimiko texted, as she blushed a little. Oh my god. You are shy, aren't you? LOL, I am texted with a laughing emoji that had tears coming from the eyes. Before Kimiko could respond, she spotted Naruto leaving the Shingon-Wu vault. I gotta go, I am, Kimiko texted quickly. Go get him, Miss Fire Dragon. Make sure not to burn him too much, I am texted with a winking emoji. Kimiko rolled her eyes at this, as she put her phone away and ran after Naruto. Hey Naruto, what are you up to? She asked him, hoping to start a conversation. Oh, not much. Just talking to Sophia, Naruto said, as he and Kimiko walked together. You are talking to an animal friend in the Shingon-Wu vault? Kimiko asked curiously, finding this odd. Naruto paused at this, as he realized his mistake. Yes, he asked with a nervous chuckle. What animal could be in the— Wait a minute, Sophia, Kimiko said, as she thought about that name, before her eyes widened in surprise and she looked at Naruto. Relax, Kimiko. We just talk, Naruto said, as he hoped his friend wouldn't freak out. Talk about what exactly? How to turn people into sapphire slaves. Kimiko yelled, before Naruto covered her mouth quickly. I talked to her without activating her, and Master Fong said it was fine. So please, just trust me on this, okay? Naruto whispered to her, as he didn't want the others to hear and cause a panic. Kimiko looked at Naruto and saw he was serious, before she nodded and he uncovered her mouth. And she's mostly been telling me about the past dragon of nature if you're curious, Naruto said, as he and Kimiko continued to walk. Anything interesting? Kimiko asked, as there wasn't a lot about the past Xiaolin dragons in the library. Well, he was a poet, Naruto said with a chuckle. And you take photos, so not that odd, Kimiko said with her own chuckle, as they approached the main building. I'm gonna kill you, Raimundo. Clay was heard yelling, as there was a crash heard inside. Naruto and Kimiko entered the main building, and saw Clay without his hat chasing Raimundo, while Omi was holding Clay's hat, which looked to have milk in it. What happened? Naruto asked Omi curiously. Raimundo was showing me how if Clay's hat can't hold 10 gallons of milk, he gets a free one, Omi said with a smile, as he held up the hat. Naruto snorted at this as he tried not to laugh, while Kimiko rolled her eyes. Attention young dragons. We have a special guest, Master Fong said, as he and a man entered the room. The man was wearing a cowboy outfit, accented with a 10-gallon hat, cowboy boots, and a golden star around his neck. He had brown hair, and a large brown mustache. This was Mr. Bailey, also known as Daddy Bailey, Clay's father. Daddy! What are you doing here? Clay asked in surprise, as he took his hat back from Omi. I came to see how my son is doing here, Mr. Bailey said in a firm tone, as he looked around, not seeming impressed with what he saw. Oh, well. Welcome to the Xiaolin Temple, Daddy, Clay said politely like he was raised. Introduce me to your friends Clay, Mr. Bailey said, as he looked at the other dragons in training. Oh. These are Omi, Raimundo, Kimiko and Naruto, Clay said, as he pointed out each of his friends. Each of them bowed their heads in greeting at Clay's dad, just like Clay did. Nice to meet you all. Now, let's see this temple Clay, Mr. Bailey said, as he looked at his son firmly. Clay nodded at this as he followed his dad. With the other dragons in training and Master Fong close behind. A little later, after showing Mr. Bailey around. So, you just train and wait for these so-called Wu to activate? Mr. Bailey asked with a raised eyebrow. Indeed sir, Clay said with a nod. Well, I think it's time for you to come home, Clay. This seems like a waste of time to me, Mr. Bailey said obviously, not understanding the situation. But daddy, this is important. Clay stuttered out in a slight panic at this, as everyone looked worried at this. Indeed, Mr. Clay's father. Clay is most important in the fight against evil, Omi said, as he tried to explain the situation. Gathering artifacts doesn't seem that important to me, boy, Mr. Bailey said, as he shook his head at this. Naruto looked at Kimiko and Raimundo at this. He does know that the Shingon Wu are actually magic, right? He asked curiously. Both Kimiko and Raimundo paused at this. Well. Kimiko said with a chuckle, as she hadn't thought of that. Heh, guess we should have led with that, huh? Raimundo said with a sheepish grin, as he realized that while this whole magic Shingon Wu was now normal for them, they tended to forget not everyone knew about them being magic. No really, you think? Naruto asked with a sarcastic tone, as he walked over to Mr. Bailey. Sir, he asked, as he approached. What is it son? You have something to say? Mr. Bailey asked with a raised eyebrow. You obviously don't understand how important the Shingon Wu are. So I would like to show you, Naruto said, as he took the VERYYYY bang off his back. That's a fancy staff son, but it doesn't look that special to me, Mr. Bailey said with an unimpressed tone, as he looked at the staff. I'm getting there sir. VERYYYY bang. Naruto yelled, before the staff extended and shot him into the air, like he did before. You do realize we have to fill the hole you leave when you do that right? Raimundo yelled up at Naruto. My bad. Naruto bellowed from above the clouds. Tarnation, Mr. Bailey said as he whistled impressively, as he looked up at Naruto. Indeed. And each Wu has a power of its own, Omi said with a nod. And it's our job to keep them away from evil people daddy, Clay said, hoping his dad understood now. Okay kids, saddle up. We have a new Wu that's active. Dojo yelled, as he slithered over holding the scroll of Shingon Wu, before he looked up at Naruto. Kid, are you showing off again? He yelled so Naruto could hear him. Hey, I'm making a point up here. Can I come down now? Naruto bellowed down. Indeed you have Naruto. You can come back down now, Master Fong said, as he slightly smiled at the young dragon. The VERYYYY bang then shrunk down, and Naruto dropped down to them. You're so filling in that hole alone dude, Raimundo said, as he pointed at the hole the staff left from Naruto showing off. Yeah. So, what Wu are we dealing with dojo? Naruto asked the dragon, as he opened the scroll. It's the Orb of Toonami. It can release an ocean of water against the enemy, Dojo said, as the scroll showed an image of an orb unleashing a torrent of water, washing away the enemy. Looks like we found a Wu suited for you Omi, Naruto said with a smile at the little monk. Well, let's get going. Dojo said, as he grew to full size. Hey daddy, you want to come and see how we do as a team? Clay asked his father hopefully. Oh, that's a most good idea, Omi said, as he wanted to make sure Clay's dad understood this was important. Well, hold on guys. This could be dangerous for him, Naruto said as he frowned, as while he could tell Clay wanted to impress his father, he didn't think that was a good idea. Yeah, I agree, this isn't a field trip. What if Jack or Wuya try to take him hostage? Kimiko asked as she frowned. Clay paused at this and frowned, as that was a really good point. I'll be fine, boy. You go get this orb thing, and we can talk later, Mr. Bailey said with a nod at his son. Clay nodded back, before he followed his friends and got onto dojo, before the dragon took off. You know, Clay, that star around your father's neck looks really familiar. Where did he get it? Dojo asked, as he flew through the air. It's been in my family for generations, since my family started our ranch, Clay said with a prideful smile. Wait, how long exactly? Kimiko asked, as she raised an eyebrow. Around 500 years. Give or take, I think, Clay said, as he wasn't sure. Naruto paused at this and looked at Kimiko, as they both had a bad feeling. Oh geez. It's probably a Shingon Wu, Raimundo said, as he realized what Naruto and Kimiko were thinking. Do you know where it was found? Omi asked. Right in the middle of Texas, partner, Clay said with a smile. Texas. Only left a few Wu there. One being the star of Hanabi, oh geez, Dojo said, as he groaned in realization. Well, that's another thing we will have to talk to your dad about, Clay, Naruto said with a sigh. Clay nodded at this. Thanks for helping convince my dad to let me stay, Naruto, he said with a nod of gratitude. It's no problem. I can understand you wanting to make your dad happy. Heck, I got into photography because of my dad, Naruto said as he smiled, as he held up his backpack, where he kept his camera, so he could take pictures while he traveled. Oh. He was a good photographer? Omi asked curiously. You bet he was. Here, take a look, Naruto said, as he took out a few pictures and showed them to his friends. Great, his inner old person is showing, ow. Raimundo said with a chuckle, before Kimiko elbowed him in the gut. Omi looked at one of the photos, and saw a kid Naruto at a playground, with what looked like a kid. He had dark blue hair, with bangs on either side of his face. Who is the kid with the duck butt hair? Raimundo asked, as he looked over Kimiko's shoulder, as Omi passed her the photo. Oh, that's Sasuke, Naruto said, as he frowned a little as he looked at the photo. Old friend? Kimiko asked curiously. Naruto shook his head at this. Not really. He was more someone who was always trying to show he was better than me, because of his clan being part of my village since it was started years ago, he said, as he took the photo back from Kimiko. I don't recall seeing him in your village both times we were there, Omi said, as he looked at Naruto curiously. Well, back when I was a kid, his family tried a coup against the village. After Bachan beat up his dad and locked him up, he and his family left the village, Naruto said with a sigh at the memory. With Jack and Wuya. Jack was at his work desk, as he looked over his equipment, before he left to go hunt the Orb of Toonami. Jack, hurry up, we are all ready to go. Wuya yelled, as she flew into the room. I'm all set for you, old ghoul. Wait, Jack asked curiously, before he spotted two figures with Wuya, one being Catnap. Why are you here? He asked her. I have business to attend to with Kimiko, Jack, so I'm gonna be helping you more from now on. So try not to get in my way, Catnap said with a growl. Jack made a mocking face at her, as he mimicked her talking, before he looked at the other figure. He was a teenage boy, who had dark blue hair, with bangs on either side of his face. And what about you, pretty boy? Jack asked with a sneer, which showed he wasn't impressed with what he saw. The teen boy grabbed an object off his back, and it ignited, showing it was a blade that seemed to be made of lightning. All you need to know is that I'm here to help you. So just stay out of my way, fool, the teen said, as he glared at Jack with his eyes turning red and gaining 3 commas around his iris. Remember, boy, if you want my help with restoring your clan to glory, you won't kill the dragon of nature, Wuya hissed out, showing she would not budge on this. The teen boy said nothing at this, before he nodded his head. With the Xiaolin team. The team were in an abandoned desert town, after Dojo had led them there to find the orb of Tornami. Why'd you have to hide the orb here? Why not in a jungle or something? Naruto asked curiously. 'Cause they're not supposed to be found easily. Plus, if you have a problem, take it to Dashi. Dojo said, as he sat on Naruto's shoulder. No worries, my friends. I'm sure we can find the orb before Jack Spicer shows up, Omi said with a confident smile. Don't get cocky, Omi, that's how you end up getting blindsided, Naruto said in warning. Hey, at least if Spicer finds the orb first, Omi will float thanks to his big head, Raimundo said with a smile. This got laughs from Clay and Dojo, while Naruto rolled his eyes but smiled, as he couldn't deny Omi had a big ego. I don't get it, Omi said with a confused tilt of his head. Just stay alert, Omi, Kimiko said, as she turned a corner and stopped, before she jumped back and hid behind a wall. You see something? Naruto asked, as he approached and took a look around the corner, and spotted Jack and Catnap along with Wuya. Jack was holding a sea blue orb, and laughing in victory. What's the plan? Clay asked, as the others poked their heads round the corner. The plan is you hand over your Wu, before you get hurt, a voice said above them. Everyone looked up, and spotted a figure on top of a tower, looking down at them. He had dark hair, with bangs either side of his face, and was wearing a blue shirt with white arm guards. They could also see his eyes were glowing red, with commas in a triangle formation. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise, as he spotted the teen's familiar red eyes. Sasuke? He asked in surprise. That's the guy you were talking about? Raimundo asked, as he looked up at Sasuke, along with the others. He's giving off a bad vibe, partner, Clay said with a frown, as he could tell Sasuke was bad news just from looking at him. Yeah. What's with the eyes? Kimiko asked, as she could see Sasuke's eyes from here, and they were unnerving to say the least. Those eyes look familiar, wait, he's a Uchiha? Dojo yelled in a panicked tone, as some memories returned to him, before he hid in Naruto's shirt. Sasuke said nothing, before he disappeared. Where did he go? Omi yelled in surprise, at the sudden disappearance of Sasuke. Sasuke appeared in front of Clay, slamming his fist strong into the taller boy's chest, causing his eyes to widen in pain, as he collapsed to the ground, much to the shock and horror of his friends. Hey! Omi yelled, as he jumped at Sasuke, throwing several kicks at the Heilin warrior, who easily evaded them with the turn of his head. Not so fast, emo boy. Raimundo yelled, as he came in charging while throwing a punch, which Sasuke easily caught. He then grabbed Omi by the leg, smashing him into Raimundo, knocking both boys back, knocking them down. Let's go, duck butt. Kimiko yelled, as she launched a drop kick, but Sasuke was quicker at dodging the strike. Kimiko then pulled out the eye of Dashi and fired off a stream of lightning toward Sasuke. He simply smirked, while reaching for his blade, holding it up. The Dragon of Fire watched in shock as the blade absorbed the lighting. Sasuke swiped the blade, creating a bolt of lightning to strike Kimiko, causing her to cry out in pain from the attack, causing her to collapse from the pain. Sasuke then turned his head, kicking a cloaked Omi in the stomach, knocking him into the wall, causing Omi to drop the Shroud of Shadows. These are the new Xiaolin dragons. I'm not impressed, dope, Sasuke said with a smirk, as he rested his lightning blade on his shoulder, while he took the eye of Dashi in Shroud of Shadows. Fist of Tebagong. Clay yelled, as he charged at Sasuke, his fist raised ready to slam into Sasuke. Sasuke jumped to the side, as he slashed at Clay, who barely dodged. But he was nicked by the electric blade. Ag! Clay yelled, as he was shocked by the electricity, before he fell to the ground. Ha! The new guy took you losers out quicker than a cheetah can run. Jack yelled with a smirk. Which is faster than you, as you do it as quick as a snail, Catnap said with a bored tone. Naruto jumped around Sasuke, and raised the Ringoju bang, ready to fight. Sasuke watched Naruto, and instantly ran to where he would land. Jetbutsu! Naruto yelled, as his boots glowed and caused him to stay in the air, dodging a swipe. Do you want some backup, pretty boy, or do you have this? Jack asked, as his robots approached. I won't need help with him. I took out his friends and took their Wu easily, Sasuke said with a glare at Naruto. Naruto glared back, before he and Sasuke rushed at each other, their Wu clashing against each other, causing sparks to fly off. Naruto jumped into the air, thrusting his staff as it extended, firing off at Sasuke, blocking them off with swings from his blade. Naruto reared back as the Ryu Jim Bang was pushed back. Naruto then twirled the staff in his hands. He raised it above his head as he swung it downward with a loud yell. Sasuke reared his lightning blade back before swngng it, clashing with Naruto's Wu, erupting in a sizable explosion that pushed them both back. Why are you here, Sasuke? Naruto asked, as he glared at the team. Sasuke glared back at him, as he stood ready. That's easy enough to explain, dope. Wuya asked me to help get some Wu from you, in exchange for the power to restore my clan back to its former glory, he answered. Isn't it only you, your brother and your mom? Naruto asked curiously. We were way bigger back in the old days, and I refuse to let my family die out, Sasuke said with a glare. Then go find a girlfriend or something, just like Itachi and your mom did, Naruto said, as he tried to think of a plan of attack. They are pathetic, just giving up and trying to live regular lives, after my father was locked up by your old hag of a grandmother, Sasuke growled out in anger. Naruto glared strong at Sasuke for that. I can take what you say, but no one talks about my family like that, he said, as he stepped forward. Orb of Toonami. Jack yelled, as he pointed the orb at Naruto, firing a tsunami of water at him. Naruto jumped and flew in the air, thanks to his jet butsu. I would save your friends, instead of going after us, loser. Jack yelled, with a laugh as he flew with his jetpack. Since when do you have good ideas? Wuya asked with a raised eyebrow. Hey! I have my moments of being smart. After all, I am an evil boy genius, Jack said with a frown. The hell you do? I hate water. Catnap yelled, as she was trapped on a rooftop. Naruto moved to go after his friends, but Sasuke instantly blocked his way and swiped at him. Out of my way, DMN it. Naruto yelled, as he swung his staff. Sasuke smiled cruelly at this. Tell you what, dope, I'll make you a deal. Hand over the jet butsu, and I'll let you go save your new friends and get out of here, he said. Naruto paused at this, before he nodded and landed on a nearby rooftop. You're not serious, are you? Dojo asked, as he poked his head out of Naruto's shirt. As a heart attack. Go save the others, now. Naruto said to Dojo. Dojo nodded at this, before he took off and grew to his giant size and flew towards the other Xiaolin dragons, who were floating on some wood nearby. Naruto looked at Sasuke, who was still on a rooftop nearby, and took off the jet butsu, and threw them to him, which he caught. Sasuke nodded at this, before he looked at Wuya. Let's go, he said, as he put on the jet butsu, and flew after Jack and Wuya. Hey! What about me? Catnap yelled from her rooftop, since she didn't have any way to follow them. Sasuke rolled his eyes at this, and flew over to her and picked her up, before he carried her off and followed Jack and Wuya. Very well done, my young Uchiha. Madara himself would be proud, Wuya said with a happy tone. You know the founder of my clan? Sasuke asked curiously. Indeed, my young friend. He and I were very close, Wuya said with a smile. Okay, you. Jack said in disgust, as he shuddered at the implications. Not like that, you buffoon. We were like siblings. Wuya yelled at him. Oh, thank God. I just ate, Catnap said, with a sigh of relief. Sasuke slightly smirked at this, as he carried Catnap. With the Xiaolin team. Naruto watched the Xiaolin team leave, before he turned to Dojo, who flew back over to him carrying the others. "Are you all okay?" Naruto asked in worry, as they all sat down to rest on the roof. "Yeah, we are fine, partner. But that lightning blade thing is no joke," Clay said, as he could still feel his hair standing on end. "Speak for yourself, Clay," Kimiko said, as she winced while trying to stand up, as she had taken a blast from the eye of Dashi. "Here," Naruto said, as he helped her to her feet and let her rest on his shoulder. "Why did you give up the jetbutsu?" Omi asked curiously. "It was either do that and save you guys, or continue the fight," Naruto said firmly, as he helped Kimiko sit against the still large dojo. "Ah, understandable," Omi said with a nod, as he would have done the same thing in Naruto's position. "Forget that. What the hell was that guy?" Raimundo said, as he scowled at how easily they lost. "Yeah, he moved like he knew what I was gonna do, before I even did it," Kimiko said with a frown, as she rested against Dojo. "Yeah, that's the Sharingan for ya," Dojo said, as he sighed and frowned. "The Sharin what?" Raimundo asked with a raised eyebrow at the dragon. "Wait, you mean that thing is real?" Naruto asked with a cocked eyebrow, as he recalled hearing stories of the Sharingan back when he was a kid. "Indeed it is. It's a genetic trait that is exclusive to the Uchiha clan. It can let the user copy fighting styles of their opponents, and can slow down their perception so they can see what their opponent is gonna do, moments before they do it," Dojo said with a nod. This got silence from the monks in training as their eyes widened in shock. "Tarnation," Clay said, as he crossed his arms. "That is most wacky," Omi said, as he frowned. "Whack," Raimundo said, as he frowned at the fact they had a new opponent, that was this dangerous. "Nah, I think Omi had it right that time," Naruto said. "What was with his lightning blade?" Raimundo asked, as they all got on Dojo while Naruto helped Kimiko onto Dojo, since she was still recovering. "It looks like the Raijin no Ken," Dojo said, as he took off into the air after everyone was seated and ready. "So that's a Shingon Wu?" Omi asked curiously. "Yup. Dashi made it specially for an old friend of his, Madara Uchiha," Dojo said, as he flew them all back to the temple. "Why didn't you sense it activating?" Clay asked curiously. "It's not like the other Wu. It can only work with a Uchiha, kinda like the Rui Jingu Bang," Dojo said, making a comparison. "So, how are we gonna deal with this guy going forward?" Raimundo asked, as he scowled at the fact that Sasuke had an advantage over them with his Sharingan. "I'm sure there is a weakness for that kid's eyes. Dashi was able to beat Madara after all," Dojo said. "Ah, of course he did. The great Grand Master is the best of all Xiaolin dragons," Omi said with a smile. "We can ask Master Fong if Dashi left any information about the Sharingan," Clay said with his own smile, as he nodded at this. "Also, what do we do about the Star of Hanabi?" Kimiko asked. "We can deal with that after you rest," Naruto said firmly, as he knew Kimiko took the worst from Sasuke's attack. Kimiko said nothing to this but smiled a little, as she liked that Naruto was worried about her. I believe this is Naruto being the sweetness, is it not?" Omi asked Raimundo and Clay with a tilt of his head. This got laughs from Clay and Raimundo, while Naruto looked confused and Kimiko glared at Raimundo and Clay. With Sasuke, at Jack Spicer's base. Sasuke and the rest of the team looked at the table of their spoils after their confrontation with the Xiaolin dragons in training. The Fist of Tebagong, the Eye of Dashi, the Shroud of Shadows and the Jet Butsu. "Most impressive," my young Uchiha, Wuya said, as she looked at the table where said Wu were sitting. "Finally, someone's able to actually do something around here," Catnap said with a smirk. "Ha ha ha. I was the one who snatched the orb of Toranami, and gave us the opening to escape," Jack said with a sarcastic laugh, as he held the orb in his hands. "Now that I have gotten you the Wu you wanted, tell me where I can find some of Madara's secrets," Sasuke said to Wuya. I suppose I could tell you," since you did keep your end of the bargain and I'm a witch of my word, Wuya said, as she rubbed her chin, as she was kinda hoping to keep Sasuke around a little longer. But she wasn't gonna make him stay, since she knew once he had a taste of Madara's knowledge, he would come running back soon enough for more. Sasuke nodded at this, as he rolled out a map for Wuya to point out where he should go. "Ah, you're leaving already?" Catnap asked with a pout, as she found Sasuke cute and she was one to keep her options open. Sasuke said nothing to this, but he rolled up his map after he marked where Wuya pointed, and walked out of the room. A few days later. It had been a few days since the Xiaolin dragons in training had first confronted Sasuke, and lost some of their Wu and the Orb of Tournami. Clay's dad did not like that Clay had failed in claiming the Orb of Tournami. But thankfully, after they all explained that a sneaky trickster thief had ambushed them, he was willing to accept that it was all part of learning from their mistakes. After spending a bit of time with Clay, he then headed off back home. Today, they were all getting ready to go to Texas, since the Star of Hanabi had activated, and they were gonna head for Mr. Bailey's ranch, to try and explain the situation and hopefully take the Wu, before Jack and his team showed up. "Okay everyone, are you all ready?" Dojo asked, as he grew to his full size. "You bet partner. I can't wait to see Texas again," Clay said with a smile. "Where is Naruto?" Raimundo asked Kimiko, as they both got on Dojo. "Oh, he said he was talking to his friend Saphira, before we go," Kimiko said, as she took her seat. "When are we going to see this new friend of his?" Omi asked curiously. "From what Naruto told me, she isn't exactly a people animal. And she barely tolerates him when he visits her," Kimiko said, as she smiled at the fact that despite the Wu's cold attitude, Naruto refused to give up. "Oh. You and him have private talks, huh?" Raimundo asked with a teasing grin at the Dragon of Fire in training. Kimiko blushed a little at this, before she composed herself and glared at Raimundo and Clay who were both smiling at her. Now little missy, no need to make such a face," Clay said with a chuckle. "Yeah, Naruto wouldn't like it if your face got stuck that way," Raimundo said, before he laughed and high-fived Clay. "Oh. This is the busting of chips," Omi said, as he realized what was going on. "That's busting my chops. And it usually ends like this," Kimiko said, as she raised her fist ready to hit the little monk. "Okay, I'm here. Let's get going." Naruto yelled as ran over, with his backpack and the Rui Jingu bang on his back. "Oh good, you have saved me from Kimiko's womanly rat dash," Omi was saying, before Kimiko covered his mouth with her hand. "You will say nothing about this, or I swear they won't find your body," Kimiko growled at Omi, before she glared at Raimundo and Clay behind Omi. "Are we clear?" she growled out at them. "Crystal," Raimundo said, as he chuckled nervously. "As clear as spring water," Clay said with a nod. Kimiko nodded at this, before she turned to greet Naruto, who was getting on Dojo. "Women are as mysterious as the Shingongwu themselves," Omi said, as he shuddered slightly. Raimundo and Clay nodded in agreement at this, before Naruto got on and Dojo took off into the sky. Later. Dojo was flying over the vast acres of Texas, while everyone looked down from Dojo's back. "Wow. This is your dad's ranch?" Naruto asked, as he took a picture with his camera. "Indeed it is, partner. Welcome to Texas everybody," Clay said with a smile, as he looked down at the herds of cattle. Oh, I shall milk that one," Omi said excitedly, as he pointed down at the cattle. "Those are steers," Raimundo said flatly, as even he knew that you didn't take the milking cows out of the barn. Before Kimiko could respond to this, she spotted something in the air across from them and took out some binoculars. "Jack, Wuya and Catnap are here," she yelled, as she passed the binoculars to Omi, who passed them to Raimundo, who passed them to Clay. Clay looked into the binoculars, and scowled. "He's heading for Daddy, who's in the field," he yelled. "I'm on it." Dojo yelled, as he flew towards the ground, not needing to be told twice. As they got closer, they all saw that Jack's robots had Mr. Bailey caught and held up, so Jack could take the star of Hanabi from him. "Clay! Get in front of me!" Naruto yelled, as he readied the Ryujingu bang. Clay didn't need telling twice, as he jumped off dojo as Naruto took aim with his staff. Ryujingu bang! Naruto yelled, which caused the staff to grow and connect with Clay's back, which sent him forward towards his father down below. "Hurry up, Jack, before the Xiaolin losers show up," Catnap said, as she inspected her nails. "I'm moving, woman. I swear, you're worse than Karen." Jack yelled, as he looked over his shoulder at Catnap. "Remind me to gouge your eyes out later," Catnap growled out. "Both of you fools cease this pointless chatter." Wuya yelled out, frustrated with the two teens. Before Jack could respond, Clay slammed into him, sending him flying. "Paws off my daddy, Spicer!" Clay yelled, as he blocked the way to his father. "Orb of Tornami!" Jack yelled, as he held up the orb and fired a flood of water. "You idiot! I just got my hair done!" Catnap yelled, as the water engulfed her, Clay and Mr. Bailey. Dojo flew over the water, and soon spotted Mr. Bailey and Clay floating in the water, so he flew down to help them. "Don't worry. We got you," Mr. Clay's father, Omi said, as they helped Mr. Bailey onto dojo. "My star was washed awake in the flood," Mr. Bailey said, as he sat on dojo. Clay nodded at this, before he swam off to go find the Wu. "Clay! Take this!" Naruto yelled, as he tossed him the serpent's tail. Clay caught the Wu and dived under the water, to go find the star of Hanabi. "Now cowboy loser is gonna take a Wu from me," Jack said, before he too dived under the water. Jack and Clay reached the bottom of the water, touching the star Hanabi as both young men issued their challenges, which only came as muffled gurgles, forcing them to swim to the surface. "Jack, I challenge you to a Xiaolin Showdown," Clay declared, as Jack surfaced. "Clay, I challenge," Jack uttered, but soon realized Clay beat him to it. "Crud. Alright, you pick." "My serpent's tail, against your orb of Tornami," Clay declared. "The orb's getting old," Jack said, pulling out a Wu list. "How about, the Sword of the Storm?" "I haven't used that one to kick your butt," he said with a smirk. "And you ain't gonna this time either," Clay said with a glare. "The star goes into a haystack, and the first one to find it wins." "What is this, a Xiaolin Showdown? Could you be any more of a hick?" "Whatever. I accept," Jack said, as Clay threw the star into the barn. "Let's go. Xiaolin Showdown!" Clay yelled out. Suddenly, the entire farm began to shift around them, as dozens of large pillars and barrels of hay began floating in the sky. "Bessie, you've been remodeling?" Mr. Bailey asked in shock, as he looked around. Clay and Jack watched as two saddles appeared in front of them. "What are these for?" Jack asked curiously. "Recon. We're supposed to ride him," Clay said, hopping on a saddle. I don't do saddles," Jack said, as he was about to use his heli pack, only for the saddle to force him on. "Looks like the showdown is strict on rules," Naruto smirked. "Of course it is," Jack said with a huff. Both boys flew through the pillar. Clay gritted his teeth as he tried to find the Wu through all the hay, only to fly out empty-handed. "Check the bottom, Clay, it's gotta be at the bottom," Mr. Bailey yelled out. Clay, following his father's words, followed through the hay with Jack tailing, only to once again fly out without the star. "It ain't in there," Clay yelled out. "You ain't looked deep enough yet. Do you need a pitchfork?" "Somebody get him a pitchfork," Mr. Bailey said with a growl. "Uh-oh, careful what you wish for," Naruto said, pointing out as dozens of devil-winged pitchforks flew down at the two boys. "Whoa Nelly," Clay said, rearing back as he moved away from the pitchforks. "Stop wasting time with the little guy, cowboy up boy," Mr. Bailey yelled out. I'm trying, Clay said, getting annoyed by his father's backseat coaching. Serpent's tail, Clay yelled, as he turned intangible, he flew through the haystack as the pitchforks chased after him. I see it. Clay said, finally seeing the star near the deep bottom. No, you're doing it all wrong, Mr. Bailey said with an unhappy look. And I thought soccer dads were a pain in the butt, Naruto said, as he sighed. Jack came in knocking Clay back, slamming him onto a nearby hay bale. Bag this, Jack said, as he pulled his wu out. Sword of the Storm. Jack yelled, as he spun the sword around, creating storm clouds that blew away the hay, creating a mini tornado and rising out at the top. It's the star of Hanabi. Naruto gasped. No time to dilly-dally, son, get in there. Mr. Bailey yelled out. Clay growled as he hopped back on his saddle, having enough he flew up to his father, face to face. Daddy, I love you. But if you don't mind. Shut your DMN yap, and let me get the job done my way, Clay said, shocking his father and his friends. Mr. Bailey gasped, but gave a proud smirk. Clay, I know this is a big father-son moment for you, but Jack's about to get the WU. Naruto shouted, pointing to the evil genius. Clay quickly got back into focus, and flew after the star circling around the tornado, while Jack was blown off his own saddle. Clay soon caught the star in his hands, ending the showdown. In a flash of light, the farm went back to normal. Not bad, partner, Naruto said with a bad accent, as he fist-bumped Clay, as he walked over while carrying the star of Hanabi, the sword of the storm, and the serpent's tail. Nearby, Wuya and Catnap approached Jack, who was in a mud puddle. Nice going, oh so good evil boy genius, Catnap said with a mocking tone. Jack said nothing at this, before he threw some mud at Catnap, nailing her in the face. Oh, that's it. Catnap yelled, as she unscathed her claws and chased Jack away from the farm. Hey! Not the face! Jack yelled as he ran away. I regret sending that Uchiha boy away, Wuya said with a groan, as she flew after them. Are these showdowns of yours always such a spectacle? Mr. Bailey asked. Pretty much, yeah, Kimiko said with a nod. Here Daddy, Clay said, as he held out the star of Hanabi to his father. Mr. Bailey smiled at this, and shook his head. Nah boy, you earned it. You're man enough to keep it now. Plus, I don't need those varmints showing up here to try and take it again, he said. Clay paused at this, and smiled before he nodded. Omi approached Mr. Bailey, and pulled on his sleeve. Excuse me, Clay's father. Can I try and milk a cow? He asked curiously. You can try, young gun. Old Bessie has an attitude though, Mr. Bailey said with a chuckle at the small monk. Omi smiled at this, before he ran off towards the barn. I give him 5 minutes before he's sent flying by that cow, Raimundo said with a chuckle. Suggers bet, Naruto said with a chuckle of his own, as while he liked Omi's attitude, he had added a feeling the little monk was asking for trouble. As they all approached dojo to get ready to leave, they heard a loud moo and a crashing sound, followed by Omi yelling as he was sent flying out of the barn. A couple weeks later. The Xiaolin monks in training were in the training ground training. Raimundo and Omi were sparring together, as Kimiko and Clay were sparring together too. Meanwhile, Naruto was meditating nearby under a tree, with some animals flying or running around him. Hold still, Omi! Raimundo yelled, before he threw a punch at him, which Omi easily dodged. Kimiko went to attack Clay, but suddenly her phone rang and she paused, which gave Clay the opening to trip her, and sent her to the ground. Hey, that was a cheap shot! Kimiko yelled, as she got up and rubbed her head. Hey, you're the one who got distracted by your phone, little missy, Clay said as he chuckled. Ugh, I'm so sick of all this training. It's been nothing but this for 2 weeks, Raimundo said, as he stopped attacking Omi. 2.5, Clay said as he nodded in agreement that it's been boring, since it's been a while since a Wu activated. I don't know, having nothing happen has its charm. It's giving me time to get more used to being the dragon of nature, Naruto said as he opened his eyes and smiled, as he petted a cat who was sitting next to him, while a bird sat on his shoulder. Oh, and what tricks have you learned, my friend? Omi asked excitedly, as he and the others approached Naruto. Yeah, regale us, oh great sage, Raimundo said with a bored tone. Naruto said nothing before he moved his hand, and knocked on the tree behind him. A tree branch above them shook one of its branches, and caused it to drop an apple which Naruto caught. Thanks Ichabod, Naruto said as he smiled at the tree, before he took a bite of the apple. So you can talk to plants now too? Clay asked curiously. Well, it's more like we are on the same wavelength emotionally, but yeah kinda. Oh, and check this out, Naruto said as he smiled, before reaching into his pocket and pulling out a seed. What are you gonna do with that? Kimiko asked curiously. Naruto looked at the seed in his hand and focused on it, before the seed sprouted and started to grow. Soon, it became a rose which he handed to Kimiko, who smiled at this while she slightly blushed. Ah, I see you're getting acquainted with your ability to make plants grow, Master Fung said, as he approached them. Yeah, it's starting to become second nature to me, Naruto said, as he looked at the elder with a smile. What do you require from us, Master Fung? Omi asked curiously. I have a new exercise for you all young dragons, Master Fung said, as he led them towards the exit of the temple. Great. What are we learning this time? Raimundo asked, as he frowned as he had a feeling this would be something strong to do. Teamwork, Master Fung said simply, while Dojo sat on his shoulder. Later. The 5 Xiaolin dragons of nature were all hanging from a cliff, with ropes around their waists, which were all attached to a massive boulder, as they were attempting to pull it up a cliff by working together. Come on Kimiko, don't just let me do all the heavy lifting, Clay groaned, as he made his way up the cliff towards Kimiko, along with Raimundo. Why not? After all, you do all the heavy snoring. Kimiko said as she scowled, as she was struggling to pull up the boulder, but she refused to admit it. I do not snore. Clay yelled, as he continued to climb. Are you kidding me? You make the rafters shake. Kimiko yelled, as she pulled on her rope. You want to talk about loud? Have you heard yourself when you are on the phone? Oh, and let's not forget your annoying ringtone, Raimundo said, as he and Clay caught up with Kimiko. Kimiko scowled at this, but before she could respond/yell at them, her phone rang with a high-pitched tune. You brought your phone with you? Wow, Raimundo has you pegged, Clay said, as he smiled. Oh, don't give me that male bonding CRP. Especially with how you complain about Raimundo's music. Kimiko yelled, as she struggled to catch up with Clay and Raimundo. What about my music? Raimundo asked with a raised eyebrow at Clay. Well. Clay said with a nervous tone, before Kimiko caught up to them. And, I quote, I have no clue what those guys are singing about, and I use the word singing mighty loosely, end quote, Kimiko said, as she imitated Clay's accent. Naruto snorted at this, as he tried to stifle his laughter. I do not sound like that. And I don't want to hear it from you, ramen boy. Clay yelled, as he looked up at Naruto, who was waiting with Omi further up the cliff. What's wrong with ramen? Naruto asked with a twitching eyebrow. Nothing, if you want to have noodle breath. I swear, do you have to use so many spices in your broth? Clay asked, as he tried to pull up the boulder. You dare insult ramen? Naruto yelled, as his eyebrow twitched violently. Friends please, we need to focus on the task at hand, Omi said, as he tried to help pull up the boulder. Yeah, let's insult Naruto's dumb eating habits later, Raimundo said, as he struggled to pull up the boulder. That's it. I'm gonna dash, Naruto yelled, before his hand slipped and his rope slipped, which caused him to be pulled towards the boulder. This caused each of the others to feel more weight, which caused them all to drop down into the water below. Nice job Raimundo, your mouth ruined everything," Kimiko groaned, as she tried to squeeze the water out of her hair. "Hey, don't blame me. It was Nature Boy who, hey, back off," Raimundo was saying, before Naruto tackled him, and started to dunk him into the water. "Suffer for defiling the greatness of ramen," Naruto bellowed, as he attempted to choke Raimundo. This got flat looks from Clay and Kimiko, while Omi sighed. "This is who you're crushing on?" Clay asked Kimiko, as he shook his head. Kimiko growled at this, before she glared at Clay slightly, spitting fire out of her mouth. "Kimiko wants to crush Naruto?" Omi asked curiously. "But she does not look that heavy." Kimiko groaned at this while Clay laughed, before Kimiko splashed him with water. "Teenagers," Dojo said with a shake of his head, as he looked down at them all from his seat on Master Fung's shoulder. Master Fung sighed and nodded at this. Sometime later, the 5 monks were all sitting in the temple, and were attempting to meditate after their failure at the teamwork exercise. "Omi, can you ask Clay to stop blocking my light?" Kimiko asked, as she was refusing to talk to Clay. "Clay," Kimiko asks Dash. "Omi, please tell Kimiko that I'll sit where I want, and block whatever light I please," Clay said with a glare. Kimiko," Clay says Dash. "Omi, please tell Clay if he didn't eat more than elephants, then maybe he would not cause an eclipse when he entered a room," Kimiko said, glaring at Clay. Clay," Kimiko Dash. "Omi, will you please tell both Clay and Kimiko to shut up, 'cause you're all giving me a headache," Raimundo bellowed. "Oh, quit your bitching, Captain Hot Air," Naruto said with a scowl. "Watch it, or I'm gonna spike your ramen with laxatives again," Raimundo said with a snicker. "That was you? You're dead," Naruto yelled, before he tackled Raimundo and they both started to roll on the floor, fighting. "Hey kids, saddle up. We have a woo, why are those two fighting?" Dojo asked, as he spotted Naruto and Raimundo fighting. "It's not a fight, it's a murder," Naruto yelled, before Clay grabbed him by the back of his robe, and pulled him off Raimundo. "Please friends, let there be peace," Omi said as he frowned, as he didn't like his friends fighting. "Yes, we have a woo too, oh geez, we have a second, no, wait." Dojo yelled, as he started to twitch on the ground, as he contorted into different shapes on the ground. "Multiple woo. That's a first," Kimiko said, as they all watched Dojo. "How many?" Clay asked curiously. "Gah. It's 5. Dojo yelled, as he tried to get himself out of the knot he tied himself into. "It would seem you will all need to split up, if you're gonna collect all these woo before the forces of evil do," Master Fung said, as he entered the temple and approached the stairs that led to the Shingon Wu vault, so he could give each of them a woo just in case. They all entered the vault, so Master Fung could hand each of them a woo. Kimiko was given the mantis flip coin, Raimundo the falcon's eye, Clay the serpent's tail and Omi the star of Hanabi. When Naruto approached, Master Fung handed Naruto the sage's necklace. "Ah, I have been wanting to test this one out," Naruto said with a grin, as he put on the necklace. "Okay kids, time to saddle up. I'm starting to molt here." Dojo yelled down into the vault. This got groans from everyone, as they all got ready to go. With Jack. Jack was getting his robots ready to go, since he knew if 5 Shingon Wu were now active, he would have to bring out all the stops. "Jack. I have brought in some help for this mission," Wuya yelled, getting Jack's attention as he looked up from one of his robots. Jack looked up and saw Catnap with Sasuke, and 2 other figures. One was a robot that had a golden yellow face on its chest, and golden yellow shoulder pads. This was Chameleon Bot. The other was a fat ninja in a red ninja uniform, and had a mask that covered his face. This was Tobimura. "Why are you here, pretty boy? Don't you have some old ruins to find?" Jack asked, as he looked at Sasuke with an annoyed look. "It took me weeks to track down where that temple Wuya pointed out is, and I'm leaving after I finish this job. I'm looking to acquire a new Wu from this job, so I have more options, Sasuke said as he glared at Jack. Yeah, we can't all depend on just the monkey staff, Catnap said with a mocking tone. Why do I need them, Wuya? I can just send my robots to gather the other Wu, Jack asked as he scowled. Because you fool, the chosen ones will obviously be splitting up like us. So we should split up too, and capture them all, so we can finally be rid of them, Wuya said with a cackle. This mean I can deal with Naruto? Sasuke asked, as he activated his Sharingan. Wuya was instantly in front of Sasuke, her eyes glowing as she glared at him. You will capture him alive, and bring him to me. Or you, and what's left of your clan, will suffer boy. Wuya yelled in Sasuke's face. This got silence from everyone as the windows shook from Wuya's yelling, while Sasuke glared at Wuya for her threat. Wow. Are you usually this protective of the enemy? Tubimura asked, as he stuck a finger in his ear after how loud Wuya yelled. Yeah, what's the deal Wuya? Jack asked curiously, as this was definitely odd to him. None of your business, fool. Just capture all of them alive, and bring them here. Wuya yelled, before she floated off, leading the group to their assigned Wu. With Naruto. Dojo was flying over the Amazon rainforest, with Naruto looking at the scroll along with the others. Okay, first up, is the ninja sash. It allows the user to make up to 2 body doubles of themselves, Omi said, as he looked at the ancient scroll of Shingon Wu, which showed a man wearing a belt, before 2 copies came out of him. Are they actual copies of the person, or are they illusions? Clay asked curiously. Solid, but can only take 1 solid hit to disappear, Dojo said. The Amazon? Sign me up. Naruto yelled with a smile, as he dropped down from Dojo towards the jungle below. Watch him make friends with something dangerous, Raimundo said, as he rolled his eyes. Kimiko scoffed at this. Nothing he meets there will outdo Sophia, she grumbled to herself. Oh. Have you met Naruto's animal friend? Omi asked with a smile. Yeah, I'm curious what this thing is, Clay said, as he and the others were curious about what Sophia was exactly. Not talking. Naruto trusted me not to tell, Kimiko said with a huff, as she looked away. This got silence from everyone, as Kimiko was the most likely to gossip. So her not talking was surprising. Heh, you must like him if you're keeping secrets for him, Raimundo said with a teasing grin. Ah, young love, Clay said as he chuckled. Oh, I get it, Kimiko wishes to marry Naruto, Omi said as he smiled, finally getting it. What? Kimiko yelled in shock as she blushed strong, while Raimundo and Clay laughed. Kimiko and Naruto, sitting in a tree. KSSNG. First comes love, then comes marriage. Then comes dash, Dojo sang with a large grin, before he was cut off. Kimiko growled and spat blue fire out of her mouth at this, which hit Dojo in the back of the head. Youch! What the heck? I'm supposed to be fireproof. Dojo yelled, as he shook his head. Well, you know what they say, hell hath no fury like a woman pissed off, Raimundo said. Wise words to live by, Raimundo, Omi said as he nodded, as while he didn't know a lot, he knew enough to not test Kimiko's patience, especially if she was breathing blue fire. With Naruto. Naruto dropped down into a tree branch and smiled, as he looked at the forest around him. Wow, this place looks great, Naruto said, as he took some pictures with his camera. As he took pictures, he paused as he spotted what looked like a gray sash hanging off a tree branch below, on a nearby tree. Looks like my luck pays off again, Naruto said with a smile, as he put away his camera and jumped down towards the sash. As he got close, he noticed Sasuke next to him, making his way to the sash. Don't you have anywhere better to be, than harassing me again? Naruto asked with a scowl, as he grabbed the ninja sash along with Sasuke, causing it to glow. I challenge you to a Xiaolin Showdown dope. Your sage necklace versus my Raijin no Ken, Sasuke said, as he activated his Sharingan. Fine, name the challenge, Naruto said with a scowl, as he looked into his eyes. I challenge you to a staring contest. First to blink, loses, Sasuke said with a smirk, knowing Naruto would take the bait. Heh, you're on. Predicting me won't help you, Naruto said, as he started to feel woozy, as he looked into Sasuke's eyes. Who said all I could do was predict your movements? I can also put my opponent in an illusion if they look in my eyes long enough, Sasuke said with a smirk. SSHT, Naruto said, as he fell back and fell off the branch. Sasuke caught him by his foot and glared at Naruto. You're lucky that witch wants you alive, dope, otherwise I'd deal with you myself, Sasuke said, before he carried Naruto off, making sure his body hit some branches as he jumped. Wichade the sage's necklace glows slightly with each hit. Later with Naruto. Naruto groaned as he started to wake up, but he found that his arms were chained up to the ceiling. Where am I? Naruto groaned, as he opened his eyes and looked around, and saw he was alone in a dark room, with very little light. Ah! Good to see you awake, my dear boy, Wuya said, as she flew over to Naruto. Where are my friends? I swear, if you hurt them, I'm gonna dash, Naruto was saying, before Wuya cut him off. Relax my dear boy, your friends are fine for now, Wuya said, as she smiled and floated near Naruto to look at him. So why do I get the special occasion of being alone with you? Naruto asked, as he glared at the ghost. I was just curious about one of the last of the Uzumakis, Wuya said, as she grinned coyly. What about it? I'm not that special, besides the whole Xiaolin thing, Naruto said with a slight shrug. Wuya cackled at this, before she looked at Naruto. Oh, my dear boy, you know so little. Though it's not surprising you don't know anything about your family, considering how you were raised, she said with a wide grin. Naruto paused at this, but glared at Wuya. Poor boy. Your father died and your mother disappeared, leaving you alone, Wuya said mockingly. I had the villagers and my grandparents on my dad's side, Naruto said firmly. You can't lie to me, boy. I took a look at your memories while you were knocked out. Poor Naruto, crying at his father's grave, wondering why his mom abandoned him, Wuya said, as she floated around him. Shut up. Naruto yelled as he tried to move, but the chains clanged as they held him in place. Wuya said nothing, as she saw pure hatred in Naruto's eyes. You don't know a thing about me. So take your psych exam somewhere else. Naruto yelled. Wuya said nothing to this, but she slightly scowled as some memories she tried to keep buried started to surface. Oh, trust me boy, you're not the only one who has suffered. I'm just not afraid to punish those who have crossed paths with me, she said, as she glared at Naruto. And me and my friends will be there to stop you, Naruto said, glaring back at her. We will see boy, Wuya simply said. Suddenly Sasuke cleared his throat, as he made his presence known. If you're done with this conversation, I will be leaving now. So don't bother calling me to help you for a while, Sasuke said to Wuya. Very well boy. Just know, you will need to come back to me eventually, Wuya said, as she watched Sasuke leave. Wuya then looked at Naruto, who was still glaring at her. We can talk more later boy. Your little monk friend is most likely on his way here to save you and your friends. So I should be there to greet him, along with my team, Wuya said, before she flew through a wall. Naruto scowled at this, before he took a few breaths to calm himself. Okay, I need to get out of here fast, so I can help Omi free the others, he thought, as he looked around to try and find a way to free himself. As he looked around, he noticed that the sage's necklace he was wearing was glowing around his neck. Ah, looks like Sasuke was being sloppy. Sage's necklace. Naruto yelled, before the necklace pulsed and made a big blast of kinetic energy from the energy it built up, which caused the wall against Naruto to be crushed and destroyed the chains holding him. Naruto chuckled as he dusted himself off, before he heard some crashing upstairs. Naruto scowled at this, before he looked at the sage's necklace, which was still glowing half as brightly as before, which to him most likely meant there was enough for another blast. Naruto pointed the necklace at the ceiling, before. With Omi. Omi was on the floor above Naruto and he was trying to fight off Jack, Catnap, the chameleon bot and Tobimura, with only the Sun Chi lantern, while Kimiko, Raimundo and Clay were chained up to a wall nearby. Give it up, Baldy. You're all alone and can't win. Jack yelled, as he smiled at how easy they were gonna win. Yeah. All your friends are chained up, Tobimura said with a laugh. Could we hurry this up please? I wanna have some fun with Whiskers downstairs, Catnap said with a grin. You touch him, and I'll burn your face off. Kimiko bellowed, as she breathed some blue fire from her mouth from her rage. Wuya paused at this and smirked evilly, as she looked at Kimiko with more interest. Sage's necklace. Naruto shouted, before the floor nearby exploded, making a hole before Naruto jumped out of it. How did you get dash? Tobimura was saying, before Naruto jumped onto his face and jumped and backflipped over to Omi's side. Sasuke forgot to take this off me, Naruto said with a grin, holding up the sage's necklace. Naruto, here. Omi yelled, as he wrapped the Sun Chi lantern around Naruto and himself. Wuya started to look panicked at this. Stop them, you idiots, she yelled at her team. Naruto and Omi looked at one another, before nodding. Sun Chi lantern, the boys shouted as the lantern began to glow while Kimiko, Raimundo and Clay all began to shine with golden auras. No. Stop them, you fools. They are fusing their chi energy with the others. Wuya screamed in rage. Naruto and Omi felt their friends' energy surging through them. Water, fire, earth, wind, nature, the voices of the 5 friends shouted, as their respective elemental kanjis appeared. Naruto and Omi landed, taking a stance as they glared at the Hylian warriors. Catnap was the first to charge at them with her claws raised, but Omi was quick to act, taking Kimiko's stance. Fire! Omi shouted, as he jumped into the air while thrusting his palms out forward, as a light shined from him, pushing Catnap back. The chameleon bot shifted into a large tiger before pouncing at Naruto. The blonde monk smirked, as he jumped into the air, taking Raimundo's stance. Wind! Naruto shouted, thrusting out his palm, unleashing a powerful force of wind that tore the machine to pieces. They both looked over to Tobimura and nodded, running at the large ninja as he quickly drew his sword. Earth! Both shouted, as they drove their feet into Tobimura's gut, causing his eyes to bulge out before he was flung into the wall, landing on Catnap. Get off me, you fat excuse for a ninja, Catnap groaned. Both of them then looked to the only Hylian warrior left, Jack. Don't make me bust you and Blondie, little man, Jack said, arming himself with a steel pipe. Omi, would you like to do the honors? Naruto asked with a smile. Oh no, I insist you go, Omi politely refused, as he bowed towards Naruto. Together then? Naruto asked. That works, Omi said with a nod, as he and Naruto now took their own stances. Water/nature, both boys shouted, causing a massive dragon of water to erupt from the ground roaring, as its green eyes shone, glaring down at Jack who dropped the pipe immediately. The evil boy genius quickly bolted out of his own lair, screaming and flailing his hands in terror. Wait, where do you think you're going? Come back here, you coward! Wuya roared, chasing after Jack as the gang laughed. Oh man, he screams like a little girl. Oh man, I wish I had recorded that, Naruto said with a laugh, as he and Omi approached the others to free them. Later outside. Everyone was on dojo after they had gathered all the Wu that were involved in the showdowns today, besides the Raijin, since Sasuke still had it. They would have taken the other Wu Jack had, but those were in a vault and they didn't want to run the risk of Wuya and her minions coming back to attack them. Thanks for the save, Omi. You too, Naruto, Raimundo said, as he high-fived both Omi and Naruto. Yeah, we would have been goners without you guys, Clay said, as he nodded in appreciation. Though I'm curious why Jack had you locked up away from us, Kimiko said, as she looked at Naruto, hoping he had an explanation. I have no idea. Wuya was just talking trash to me, Naruto said as he slightly glared, as he remembered how Wuya tried to play on his emotions. As Dojo flew them back to the Xiaolin temple, Naruto was lost in his thoughts. That witch knows something about my mom's side of the family. And I'm gonna find out what, he thought to himself, as Dojo flew them back home. Xiaolin Temple. It was a new day at the Xiaolin Temple, and today the Xiaolin dragons in training were all taking turns, sparring against each other. Right now, Naruto and Kimiko were sparring while Omi, Raimundo, Clay and Dojo were sitting nearby watching. My money is on Naruto, Raimundo said with a smile. Omi looked at Naruto curiously, with a tilt of his head. I do not see any money on Naruto, he said. This got groans from Clay and Raimundo, while Dojo held up a sign that said metaphor, so Omi could see it. Oh. You mean, you think Naruto will win this spar? I'm afraid that I don't agree, my friend, Omi said. Oh, and why is that, partner? Clay asked curiously, wondering what made Omi think this. That is quite easy, my friend. Naruto, while skilled after his few months here, is facing Kimiko, who is the dragon of fire, which is more powerful than nature, Omi said, as he crossed his arms, while nodding his head slightly. That would be true, if he only had plants, Dojo said as they all looked, as Naruto and Kimiko stood across from each other, in battle-ready stances. No strong feelings if I win? Naruto asked with a smile. That's if you win, Kimiko said with a smirk. True, as you're more than just a pretty face, Naruto said, as he pulled out his chosen wu. Jet Butsu, he yelled, before he floated in the air. Kimiko blushed at Naruto's unintentional compliment, before she pulled out her chosen wu. Tangled web comb, she yelled, before she fired at Naruto. But before the fired hair could hit Naruto, they did a U-turn and... Oh, not again. Kimiko yelled as the hair slammed into her and wrapped around her, binding her in place. This got laughs from Raimundo and Clay, as they fell to the ground and laughed. Oh geez, Dojo said with a chuckle, as he figured out what happened. Am I missing something? Naruto asked curiously, as he put down his wu since the spar was over. Whoever uses the tangled web comb must have absolute focus, and a clear mind, Master Fung said, as he walked over. Huh? Naruto asked, as he always figured Kimiko had a very focused mind. I see you are all working strong, Master Fung said as he approached. Oh. Master Fung. What brings you here? Omi asked happily. Naruto has a guest today, Master Fung said with a smile. Did they leave a name? Naruto asked curiously. You know my name, boy, a male voice yelled out, as a man appeared. He had long white hair that was in a ponytail, with two bangs framing his face, and there were red lines under his eyes, which extended further down his face. He was wearing a green short shirt kimono and matching pants, under which he was wearing a mesh armor that is visible at his wrists and ankles. He also had hand guards, a black belt, traditional Japanese wooden sandals, and a red haori with two yellow circles on each side. Naruto groaned at this, as he saw the older man as he helped Kimiko to her feet. You know this guy, Naruto? Raimundo asked curiously, as they all looked at the older man. I am the great author and lover of women, Jiraiya. I'm also this one's grandfather, Jiraiya said with a smile, as he made a dramatic pose. Oh. What have you written? Omi asked curiously. Before Jiraiya could respond, Naruto was behind him and smacked him in the back of the head. Ow. What the hell, brat? Jiraiya yelled out. Don't you dare. He's a monk, an innocent, Naruto said with a slight glare, as he saw Omi as a little brother and he refused to let his grandfather corrupt him with his books. Oh, don't get your pants in a twist. Master Fong already threatened me before I came in, Jiraiya said, as he rolled his eyes at this. Hey! A little help here? Kimiko asked, as she was on her feet, but the hair from the tangled web comb was still wrapped around her. Oh geez. Here, I'll help you, Kimiko, Naruto said, as he walked over to his friend. Jiraiya smiled at this, as he stood next to the other monks and dojo. Ah, so she's the one my wife wrote to me about, he said, as he chuckled, as he watched Naruto help Kimiko. Who's your wife? Clay asked curiously with a raised eyebrow. I'm from the same village where you found him, kid. Think about it, Jiraiya said, as he smiled. They thought about this for a moment, and suddenly Raimundo's eyes widened in surprise. You are married to that Batleeks? He yelled in surprise. Indeed I am, my dear boy. And trust me, it was a tough fight to get her to say yes, Jiraiya said with a proud smile. She was drunk when she said I do. Naruto yelled, as he got Kimiko loose from the hair. This caused Jiraiya to face fault into the dirt, while Raimundo, Clay and Dojo laughed, while Omi looked confused. Why would Miss Tsunade need to be drunk to get married? Omi asked curiously. Trust me, there's a list of reasons. Now, why are you here, Gramps? Naruto asked, as he and Kimiko walked over. I wanted to check in on you, and meet your new friends, Jiraiya said, as he got up off the ground. Well, these are Omi, Raimundo, Kimiko and Clay, and the dragon is Dojo, Naruto said, as he pointed out each of his friends. That's a dragon? Jiraiya asked, as he looked at Dojo with a raised eyebrow. Don't let the size fool you, spiky hair. I'm a real bona fide dragon. Dojo said, as he jumped onto Omi's head. We are having lunch soon. Would you like to join us, Mr. Jiraiya? Kimiko asked curiously, as she was curious about Naruto's grandfather. Sure thing, little missy. I'll tell you some stories about my grandson here too, while I'm at it, Jiraiya said, as he smiled at Naruto who groaned with a face palm. Oh, are any of them embarrassing stories? Raimundo asked, as he rubbed his hands together with a smile. The best ones are, Jiraiya said as he smiled at Raimundo, as he could tell he was gonna like this kid. Then let's start with those, Raimundo said, as he smiled and led Jiraiya to the dining hall, with the others close behind. Later. Everyone was eating lunch inside the dining hall, while Jiraiya was telling them stories about Naruto when he was a kid. There is no way Naruto shaved Miss Tsunade's head, when he was 5, Clay said, as he chuckled while shaking his head. I have the picture to prove it, kid, Jiraiya said with a grin, as he pulled out a picture of a bald Tsunade, yelling at a kid Naruto, who was laughing. This got loud laughter from everyone but Master Fung, who was trying not to laugh, especially since the word drunk was painted on Tsunade's head. Okay, I'll admit you are the master of pranks, Raimundo said as he held his side from laughing so much. Yeah. Kushina said she was so proud of her baby boy for that 1-inch, Jiraiya said, as he put the photo away. Naruto paused at this, before he scowled a little. Naruto's mom liked his pranks? Omi asked curiously. Oh, she sure did. She even pulled pranks of her own, when Minato and her met, Jiraiya said with a nod. She loves ramen too? Raimundo asked with a chuckle, as he had a feeling it was sometimes he got from Kushina. Jiraiya nodded at this and smiled, before he pulled out another photo and showed it to them all. It was a picture of what looked like a young woman with long red hair, and a young man with spiky blonde hair. The woman was holding a child Naruto, who was smiling brightly at the camera, along with his parents. Oh wow. She has such appealing hair, Kimiko said, as she smiled at the picture. Yeah. According to Kushina, her family were known for their red hair, going back at least 1500 years, Jiraiya said, as he smiled and handed the photo out to Naruto. Naruto looked at the photo and scowled at it, before he got up. Thanks for the meal. Excuse me, he said, before he bowed to Master Fung and left the room. Jiraiya frowned at this, before he sighed and put the photo away. Wow, he doesn't like his mom, huh? Raimundo asked as he frowned, as while he could understand why Naruto was bitter about his mom disappearing and not showing up after his dad died, but not even wanting a photo was harsh to him. Yeah, the kid is strong-headed. He gets that from his mom too, Jiraiya said, as he shook his head. I'm sure that we can find her, if we look for her, Omi said, as he gained a determined look on his face. Kimiko frowned at this, as she looked at the doorway where Naruto left. Later. It was hours later, and Jiraiya was getting ready to leave, while the dragons in training and dojo were saying goodbye to him. Okay, I'll get out of your hair, kids. You just be sure to look after this brat, Jiraiya said, as he smiled at Omi, Raimundo, Kimiko and Clay, while jerking a thumb at Naruto nearby, who was leaning against a wall. I can look after myself just fine, you old pervert, Naruto said, as he rolled his eyes. Love you too, brat. Also, write to your grandmother, she worries about you, Jiraiya said, as he readied his backpack. What about? Omi asked curiously. Yeah, she seemed to trust us the last time we were there, Raimundo said. Ah, she's just worried the fiery one is gonna use him like a toy, Jiraiya said with a smirk, as he pointed at Kimiko. This got a groan from Naruto, and caused Kimiko to go atomic red. Thanks pervert, Naruto said, as Raimundo laughed strong, while Clay was surprised at how vulgar Jiraiya was, while Omi was just confused. Hey, I'm not a pervert. I'm a super pervert. Jiraiya yelled with a mad grin. Kimiko growled at this, before she held up the star of Hanabi in her hand. Should I burn him, or just beat him the old-fashioned way, she asked with a strong glare. I'm not scared of jewelry, little missy, Jiraiya said, waving his hand about. Okay, both it is. Star of Hanabi. Kimiko yelled, shooting ball of fire at Jiraiya. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise, as they all watched Kimiko attacking Jiraiya with her woo. Tarnation, and I thought I had seen Kimiko mad before, Clay said with an impressive whistle, as Jiraiya screamed in pain. Indeed. Women are most scary when made mad, Omi said, as he nodded sagely. Yeah, that hasn't changed since Dashi's days, Dojo said with a nod of agreement. Raimundo chuckled and nodded at this, before he looked at Naruto, who was watching Kimiko beat up Jiraiya, and he had a small blush on his face. You okay, dude? He asked Naruto. That's hot, I mean, yes, I'm okay. Naruto said without thinking, before he snapped out of it and looked at Raimundo. Raimundo smirked evilly at this, as Naruto blushed in embarrassment. I don't get it. Of course Kimiko is hot, she's the dragon of fire, Omi said cluelessly. Dojo and Clay both sighed at this, as they shook their heads at the little monk's confusion. A few days later. Naruto and the group were all on Dojo's back, on their way to find a newly activated Shingon Wu. So what's the Wu this time? Naruto asked, as they landed in a forest and Dojo let them off. It's the heart of John. It can bring inanimate objects to life, Dojo said, as he shrunk down. Okay my fellow dragons, we should split up and ground up some cover, Omi said, as he ran off. Into the forest. That's cover more ground. Raimundo said, before he shook his head and picked a direction with Clay behind him. Naruto looked at Kimiko and nodded, before they picked a direction and started to walk. I'll stick with you, if that's okay with you, Dojo said, as he jumped onto Naruto's shoulder. Naruto nodded at this as he yawned, before he followed Kimiko. Not getting enough sleep? Kimiko asked, as they walked and searched for the heart of John. I'm fine. I have just been spending extra time in the library, looking for information on the Uzumaki, Naruto said, as he sighed at the fact that he hasn't had any success. Yeah, sorry about that kid. Dashi didn't keep many records of that. But if he did, it's probably in the restricted section, Dojo said. Naruto frowned at this, as he knew that only the other monks were allowed in there. Kimiko also frowned at this, as she knew Naruto wanted to know more about the Uzumakis. Hey, maybe you can ask Sapphire. She's been around a long time, right? Kimiko asked, as she knew the living Wu would probably know something. Naruto paused at this before he smiled and nodded at Kimiko. Okay, who the heck is this Sapphire, and how is she that old? Only dragons are that Dojo was saying, before he paused and thought about this, before he paled and looked at Naruto and Kimiko in shock. Now Dojo, don't make this a thing, Kimiko said, as she chuckled nervously. Yeah, it's not a big deal, Naruto said, as he hoped Dojo wouldn't freak out. Not a big deal. Not a big deal, my scaly butt. You're talking to the Sapphire Dragon. Dojo yelled out. Dojo, Sapphire is not dangerous, Naruto said with a frown. Oh, so I imagined all the Sapphire minions and you shoving me full of hot sauce. Dojo asked, as he raised an eyebrow. Dojo, he only talks to her mentally. It's not like he activates her, Kimiko said, as she tried to calm Dojo down, so nobody would hear him. Her. Is she single? Dojo asked after a few moments of silence, as Kimiko's words registered in his head. Kimiko groaned at this, while Naruto burst out laughing at this response. Before they could answer Dojo, they heard the sound of fighting nearby. Sounds like trouble, Naruto said, as he took off running with Kimiko close behind. When they made it to where they heard the fighting, they saw Raimundo and Clay nearby, with Omi on the ground and Jack laughing, as he held the heart of Jong, the Lotus Twister and the Jet Butsu. Finally, I win a showdown. Jack yelled, as he activated his helicopter backpack floated in the air. Good job Jack. Now, move before you mess it up. Wuya yelled, as she flew after Jack. Naruto sighed at this, as he and the others approached Omi, who was frowning from his loss. Don't let it get you down Omi, Kimiko said, as she helped Omi to his feet. Yeah, it's not like the heart of Jong works on Shingon Wu. Right Dojo? Raimundo asked the dragon. Dojo froze at this. Well, heh. About that. He said. As he chuckled nervously as rubbed the back of his head. OCRP, Naruto said, as he had a bad feeling about this. We need to get back to Master Fong, then make sure we're not in trouble, Clay said, as he adjusted his hat. Okay kids, saddle up. We can discuss Naruto's friend choices later, Dojo said, as he grew to his full size. What friend choices? Omi asked curiously, as they hopped on Dojo's back. Focus people. Naruto yelled, before he kicked Dojo in the side. Hey! You might ride on me, but that doesn't mean I'm a horse. Dojo yelled, as he took off into the sky. Then explain you eating sugar cubes, Kimiko said, as she raised her eyebrow while crossing her arms. Dojo grumbled at this, as he flew them back to the temple. With Jack. Jack and Wuya were in Jack's lab and standing at his table, where he had several Wu set out on it. Okay, the helmet of Jong goes here, the shroud of shadows goes there, Jet Butsu here, third arm sash and fist of Tebagong are here, the 2-ton tunic is here, and the eye of Dashi goes there, Jack said, as he finished arranging the Wu, so they were in the shape of a human being. Heh, it's like making a snowman. Pity I don't have a carrot for his nose, Jack said with a smile. Enough fooling around. Do you have the final piece? Wuya demanded, as she was impatient. Right, the heart of Jong goes here, Jack said, as he placed the Wu inside the 2-ton tunic. After a few moments, the heart of Jong glowed and spewed out green flames, which engulfed all the Wu and activated the 2-ton tunic. The now living amalgamation of Shingon Wu stood up, and roared loudly. Jack, may I introduce you to Mala Mala Jong, Wuya said with a grin, as she flew around Mala Mala Jong. He's powerful, deadly and best of all, invincible. Mala Mala Jong. Okay, how should I categorize him in my Wu index? Jack asked, as he looked at his computer. Categorize him as your replacement, Wuya said with a smug tone. Okay, I'll write he's my replace. Whoa, whoa, whoa. My replacement? Jack was saying with a smile, before he looked at Wuya in shock. Now that I have him, I don't need you anymore. Come Mala Mala Jong, we have a world to conquer. Wuya said, as she smiled at her new minion, before they headed for the door. Jack flew over to block their way in a panic. Wait a minute. I can still help you, don't just ditch me. Jack yelled, as he waved his arms in a panic. I have no further use for a simpering fool like you, now that I have Mala Mala Jong with me, Wuya said with a scowl at Jack. I don't simper. Never, ever, ever. Jack said with a pout, waving his arms about. What's simpering mean anyway? He asked with a clueless look. Mala Mala Jong punched Jack with the fist of Tebagong, sending him into a wall. Jack groaned in pain as he slid down the wall, while Wuya and Jong left his lab. With the Xiaolin team. The dragons in training were all sitting in the temple with the other monks, while Master Fong explained the situation, while showing them a diagram of Mala Mala Jong. Mala Mala Jong is practically invincible. And I guarantee that Wuya will show up within the day, Master Fong said, as he looked at everyone with a firm look. So the potluck is cancelled? Dojo asked, before everyone looked at him with flat looks. What should we do to prepare for this Mala Mala Jong, Master Fong? Omi asked curiously. Hey look, Omi's a poet and he don't even know it, Raimundo whispered to Naruto. You all will take what Shingong will we have and flee, while we give you time, Master Fong said firmly. Everyone nodded at this, as they got up to go pack up the Shingong Wu. So we are just gonna run. I didn't come here to train strong, and just flee when things get rough, Raimundo said, as he scowled. We don't have time for this, Raimundo. Now go, Master Fong said with a firm look, as he looked at Raimundo. Raimundo scowled at this, before he followed the others to the vault. Inside the vault. Naruto was making his way to the bottom of the vault, looking for any spare Wu they may have missed. He stopped at the shelf that had a dragon's image on it. Naruto sighed as he opened the shelf, and took out the sapphire dragon. Can't let you be taken by Wuya. Plus, I'm not one to leave a friend behind, he said to himself, before he headed back up to meet up with the others. He walked out of the vault, and saw the others loading up the chest full of Wu onto Dojo's back, except for Raimundo who was looking out at the fields nearby, where they could see a figure burning his way towards the temple. Come on partners, we need to get going. Clay called out to Naruto and Raimundo, as he, Omi and Kimiko sat on Dojo, ready to go. Naruto and Raimundo made their way over to Dojo and got on the dragon, before he took off into the air. Later. Naruto and the others were inside a cave, near the top of Empty Hong, where they were all gathered around a campfire. We need a plan for if Master Fong fails at stopping Wuya, Omi said, as he looked into the fire, with his arms wrapped around his legs. Well, everything has a weakness. So we just need to think of what Mala Mala Jong's is, Naruto said, as he rested his chin on his hand. The most likely thing is probably the heart of Jong, right? Kimiko asked, hoping she was on the right track. Makes sense, Clay said as he nodded, as they all started to try and come up with a plan. Unknown to them, Raimundo was eyeballing the Sword of the Storm. Okay, what options do we have? Naruto asked as he looked around at them, while Dojo slithered around. We could use the serpent's tail to move through the 2-ton tunic, and grab the heart of Jong, Clay said. Yeah, but the serpent's tail won't protect us from the eye of Dashi's lightning, Kimiko said, as she shook her head. Oh right, Clay said, as he snapped his fingers with an unhappy look on his face. Maybe from the back? Naruto asked. I'm afraid not. The helmet of Jong lets him have eyes in the back of his head, Omi said, as he shook his head at this. DMN it. Isn't there a teleportation Wu? Naruto asked, as he frowned. This made everyone pause at this. Well. Kimiko said, as she, Dojo and Clay looked at Omi. Oh geez. Alright, let's hear it, Naruto said, as he looked at Omi. Well, we did have the golden tiger claws, Clay said. The what? Naruto asked with a cocked eyebrow. They let you go wherever the user wants, Kimiko said, explaining the woo. But then Omi threw them into the center of the earth, Dojo said with a shrug. So the one woo we could really use right now, is in the center of the earth? Naruto asked, as his eyebrow twitched in annoyance. Well, at least it wasn't in space, Omi said with a sheepish look, as he shrugged. Omi, do you think the serpent's tail could take one of us to the center of the earth? Naruto asked, as he tried to avoid the urge to smack Omi on the head. This made the other pause, as they hadn't considered this. It could work, Kimiko said, as she smiled. It's better than nothing, Clay said, as he nodded. What do you think, Raimundo? Omi asked, as he looked to the Shingon Wu CHST, where Raimundo was sitting earlier, but he wasn't there. Oh, that idiot, Naruto said, as he noticed the sword of the storm was gone too. They then heard a roar outside, which shook the mountain. Everyone ran to the cave entrance, and saw Mala Mala Jang making his way towards the mountain, while holding the sword of the storm. Omi, you need to go now. Naruto yelled, as he grabbed the serpent's tail and threw it to Omi. I won't let you all down. Serpent's tail. Omi yelled, as he took off into the ground. So, what's the plan of attack? Clay asked, as they all looked at the approaching Mala Mala Jang. Stand our ground, and hope that Omi makes it back in time, Naruto said with a determined look, as he pulled out the Rui Jingu Bang. Naruto then jumped into the air, twirling his staff in the air as he gazed at Mala Mala Jang. Take this. Ryujin Bang. Naruto shouted, as he unleashed hundreds of rapid-fire thrusts down upon the massive fusion of Shingon Wu, pushing it down the mountain top sending it falling, with Naruto sliding down after it. Naruto jumped up, smashing the Ryujin Bang down on its CHST, sending it crashing down to the ground. From up above, Kimiko and Clay looked on. The fire dragon quickly reached into the bag containing the Wu, and pulled out the Star of Hanabi. Star of Hanabi. Kimiko shouted, as the star fired off a blast of fireball at Jang, causing it to cry out in pain or annoyance. Orb of Tornami. Clay yelled, as he held out his Wu, which unleashed a torrent of water at Mala Mala Jang. But as the wave clashed with the demonic amalgamation of Wu, he used the sword of the storm to part the water, and make his way toward the young monks. Hey! No copying Moses! Naruto said with a glare, as he stared down Mala Mala Jang. Mala Mala Jang said nothing to this, as he used his third arm sash to swipe at Naruto as he swung his staff at him, which he caught before he swung the staff and Naruto into the wall nearby. Ugh! Is that all you got? Naruto groaned, as he fell to the ground. Star of Hana, hey! Kimiko yelled, before Mala Mala Jang grabbed her Wu, along with the Orb of Tornami and consumed them, before he grabbed Kimiko, Clay and Dojo and threw them to the wall next to Naruto. Ah, finally. Victory is within my grasp, Wuya said, as she made her presence known, as she hovered next to Jang. How can it, when you can't even touch anything? Naruto said with a snarky tone, glaring at Wuya. Wuya ignored this, as Mala Mala Jang held the three dragons in training in dojo against the wall, so they couldn't move. Since I am moments from victory, I'm feeling generous. So I'll make you a deal. You all swear your allegiance to me, and I'll spare your lives, the ghost said, as she smiled at her soon-to-be victory. Not gonna happen, Kimiko said with a glare. Never in a million years, Clay said with a nod of agreement. What they said, Casper. Dojo yelled. Dojo, that's mean, to Casper, Naruto said with a smirk. After all, Casper is friendly, while she's meaner than my Bachan, and that's saying something. This got laughs from Kimiko, Clay and Dojo. Wuya growled at this. I'm losing my patience with you boy, she said with a glare. Well, get used to it. I can do this all day, Naruto said with a glare and a defiant smirk. Wuya paused at this, as this look on Naruto's face reminded her of the past, before she growled. Leave the blonde, and crush them, she bellowed at Mala Mala Jang. Before Mala Mala Jang could respond, he started to groan in pain as he dropped them and backed up, while beating his chest. What is wrong with you? Wuya yelled at her minion, wondering what was happening when she was so close to winning. Mala Mala Jang roared, before in a burst Omi jumped out of his chest, holding the heart of Jang, which caused all the Wu to collapse into a heap. What? How? Wuya yelled enraged at this. Easy, with the golden tiger claws, Omi said, sticking his tongue out with a grin. Remember, they can take you wherever you want to go, Clay said with a smile. Even into a raging monster's chest, Kimiko said with a smug look. Okay, I want to try those next, Naruto said with a smile, as he was definitely impressed with this Wu. Sorry to break your heart, Wuya, Dojo said with a shrug and a smirk. Gyaha. Wuya bellowed in rage, before she flew out of the cave. The monks all laughed at this, and high-fived each other at their victory. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author KFB Anime 87 on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.